Today on the channel, we've got the Marvel Legends comic series Retro Wave ROM Space Knight on Way I Got It Figured.
The way I got it figured.
What's up, figure fans? Way I Got It Figured, back with another Marvel Legends review. This time, we're looking at ROM, the Space Knight, way back from 1979. ROM has a nice history to him. He had a Marvel comic back in the day, but he actually was a figure unto himself, um, created by Parker Brothers back in the day, and Marvel licensed the comic from him. Uh, from them to do a comic for. This was like before GI Joe or any of that stuff. So like he's like one of the first licensed characters. But Marvel has like sort of like partial ownership of him. Certainly owns like all of the stuff that they created in the comic around him. It's a very, very, very interesting story. Should you want to go look into that, but for those of us who lived it, Ron was a cool guy. He had his own comic, and he would make sporadic appearances in other Marvel books because even though he was a licensed comic, his adventures took place in the Marvel universe. And they still to this day will like reference him, but like in oblique ways in a sense, because of the, you know, contested legal history, let's call it. But he is, in my mind, every bit a Marvel comic book character. Um, the funny thing is, as a kid, I read some issues of Rom, but the only comic book that I think I actually own of with Rom in it is the issue of the Incredible Hulk. I think it's like Incredible Hulk 279, somewhere back in them days. It might be 279. I don't know. It's a very specific number. It's coming out of my head, but yes. Um, This was shortly after Secret Wars, and the Hulk was slowly becoming out of control. And Rom came in and used the neutralizer on him, and it was a cool comic. Um, and Rom was a cool character. So here he is. And he's just part of a larger wave of comic book accessory carrying figures. He is the first of those that I am going to get. I might get a couple others. Um, But for now, this is the only one I have currently. And it was the only one that I wanted, above all others. So here he is. Picked him up at Target. He's a hard figure to get, but at the same time, Target is getting them. And then when I picked them up, I mean, there was like 5 or 6 of them there. So I took the one, and here we are. Looking at Rom in his package, they got some comic art of him there, and he looks really awesome. He's pretty large. I like that. Got your little comic book of ROM #1 in there. And on the back, you got all of these guys who have comics with them on the cross sell. And then you've got, of course, ROM Space Knight, first issue arrival. ROM. In ROM #1, the Space Knight ROM tracks the vile dire wraiths across the cosmos, arriving on Earth to continue his pledge to defeat them. So the dire wraiths, hilariously, again, Marvel owns them. And they're like supposedly like offshoots of the Skrulls. And Rom being from Galador, he was running these guys down. That was kind of his deal. So over here on the cross sell, you've got Marvel's Banshee, Rom himself, Ultimate Miles Morales, Ultimate Iron Man, Adam Warlock, and Daken, Wolverine. And these are all cool figures, but nowadays, I can't get everything. I'm not going to try and get everything. For sure, I'm going to get Ultimate Iron Man and probably Adam Warlock, mainly because Adam Warlock comes with a Infinity Gauntlet that you can put on other guys. That's not to say that I don't like any of the other guys. Actually like all of these guys, to be honest. Banshee's being a giant size X-Man, and that's kind of tempting. But it's not like I have a Thunderbird, so there's that. Miles Morales, supposedly on an upgraded body, but I'm happy with the Miles Morales I have. And Daken, well, he's Daken. I mean, he's Dark Avenger, yada yada. But again, I don't have all of those guys, and I'm not probably going to go all the way into what it takes to get all of those guys. So we're most likely looking at, for me, Iron Man and Adam Warlock in addition to Rom. There's an outside chance I'll get the Banshee, but he probably, I'll probably wait for him to be on discount or something. So there's that. Enough about that. We're going to get to the good stuff and get Rom out of the package. See what we can see. Here we have Rom out of his package with all of his accessories. Comes with a few things. Couple extra hands. 2 versions of the neutralizer and a blast effect, and of course the ROM #1 mini comic. So starting with that, all the figures from this retro card wave have a comic that pertains to their appearance, and I guess that's cool and everything. It might be slightly, definitely a little bit larger than what a comic book would actually be to a figure. It's not like 1-to-1 to a comic book, especially if you consider Rom is a fairly big figure, which you'll see here in a bit. He's got a fisted hand. We have that for some fisticuff action. Got a trigger hand for both hands, and then he has a sort of posing hand that's on him, in addition to the right-handed trigger hand. And you got the 2 versions of the neutralizer. Both the same thing, really. I don't know. I kind of like the smaller one better, but on the cover of ROM #1, I'm pretty sure he has the big neutralizer. If you want to go there. Then you got your little blast effect that plugs neatly onto the front. Just sort of just sticking on the front of there. Either one works the same way. Looking at Rom himself, he looks really good. Looks like his further comic book appearances, like on the cover of #1, he's kind of bulky, but this is a more stylized yet comic accurate version of Rom. This is the version of Rom from the comic that I'm used to. The original toy was a kind of a blockier kind of figure. But we didn't necessarily have to have things look exactly like they looked in other media back in the day. It was always sort of close enough. But he looks good. He is pretty posable. Got your T-pose. Got your pretty healthy kick. Kick back a little bit. Knee bend. I like how he has nice big feet to support him. He stands very easily. He can look up a little bit, look down a little bit. He does have a 2-stage ab crunch. He has a jetpack, so you're not going to get any really back. You're not going to be leaning him back, basically. But he looks good. He looks awesome. So we'll get him geared up and do some comparisons. All right, so starting off for comparisons, we've got some characters that don't have anything really to do with ROM, but just wanted to show the size of them, more or less. So we've got the Rose, Spider-Man retro card Rose. I didn't do a review on him, but I just had him out for some reason. And he's a regular size guy. And then you have Marvel 85th anniversary Venom, who's on a larger body, and I don't know how well it's going to translate from looking at it from the front, but he is slightly taller than Venom. So he's a pretty big figure. Even in the package, you can see where he takes up the entire sort of plastic casing. So yeah, he's a nice beefy guy. I think he's a great standalone figure. Like if you're not necessarily a Marvel Legends collector, you just like Rom, you remember that back in the day. He's sort of like a great keepsake. I feel the same way about Crystar, who they did last year. And if you want him with your Marvel guys, because to me he's totally legit to be with Marvel guys, then you got that too. So there you go. That's your comparisons. We're going to move on to final thoughts. Final thoughts on Marvel Legends cover wave Rom. I mean, I don't know. For me, it's a 10. It's Rom. It's totally Rom as you remember him in the comics. Definitely, particularly toward the end of his run. Like I said, he had an appearance in Incredible Hulk. It was actually issue 296, not 279 or 269 or whatever. It was 296. And I still have that comic, by the way. But yeah, it's a piece of nostalgia in a sense, and it has a crossover with an action figure that came from outside the Marvel universe. All great things, all things I like. Pretty sure every time they do something like that, I'll buy whatever figure it happens to be. So there's Rom. He's great. Well, I got a figure rank of 10, and I'm gonna get you guys out of here. If you're new to the channel, please like and subscribe. We've got much more Marvel Legends. We've got much more Marvel Legends content coming. Even at the reduced pace at which I'm buying Marvel Legends, they're still showing up on the channel. So please be on the lookout. Till next time, everybody stay safe. Happy collecting. See you on the next video. Peace.
The way I got it figured.